What's the difference between feeling tired and having chronic fatigue? In this video, we're going to unpack the difference and why it's important in terms of mapping your path to recovery. Hi, I'm Alex Howard, and I'm the founder of the Optimum Health Clinic, one of the world's leading integrative medicine clinics, specializing in fatigue-related conditions and a number of other areas. And in this video, I wanted to speak to a question that's often asked. What's the difference between feeling tired and having chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, ME, a kind of debilitating chronic illness? Well, here's the fundamental difference. Everyone gets tired at different points in their life. At the point that you meet diagnostic criteria for a condition is typically because that tiredness is not explained and it's not self-correcting. So if, for example, you've been through a really difficult chapter in your life, so let's say, for example, maybe you've been through a divorce, or you've lost your job, or you've gone through a really demanding and difficult time. Maybe you've had a series of events that have happened together, and you constantly have had to push beyond your physical, mental, emotional limits to get through that circumstance. Often what happens is, whilst we're going through it, we may not feel good, but we feel like we're kind of coping. The research shows it's actually when we stop, like our nervous system actually feels safe, that we actually feel the underlying tiredness that's happening. That's a very common life experience, and the resolution to that is typically time and it's rest. And what we notice is when we take the time and we rest, that our energy gradually comes back. Now, it may not come back as quickly as we would like it to. I've had the conversation many times over the years with friends, family members that say, oh, I think I might have chronic fatigue. And I'll say, well, why do you think that? Then they'll explain how they feel, and I'll ask them what's been happening. And as we chat it through together, it becomes clear that actually the fatigue they're experiencing is a kind of reasonable response to the life experience that they've had. And they need time, and over time, their energy comes back, and it takes some time, but it comes back. When we're talking about chronic fatigue syndrome, or ME, or post-viral fatigue, or fibromyalgia, or that kind of group of conditions, the point is that the fatigue is disproportionate to the circumstance, and the body is not rebounding. So the beginning may look the same. There may be a bunch of factors and things that have happened, and it's become overwhelming and the system's crashed, but the body is not recovering. Often also, there are symptoms that are more than just fatigue. Maybe there's muscle pains, maybe there's dizziness, maybe there's digestive issues, maybe the immune system's not functioning correctly, it's overreacting or it's underreacting. The point is that it's clear that the body is not recovering by itself, and more time is not the only variable that's going to be important. We need to figure out what's going on. And I always say that fatigue is a symptom, not a diagnosis. A diagnosis of chronic fatigue syndrome is really just saying you have fatigue that's chronic, and we'll add the word syndrome to make it sound medical. But it's not a diagnosis of what's happening. A diagnosis of what's happening may be that our cellular energy production, our ATP, is not functioning the way that it should be, or our cortisol levels are too high or too low, or that our microbiome in our gut is not digesting food and absorbing nutrients in the ways that it needs to. There's a whole bunch of things that can be happening within fatigue, but we need to have clarity of what those things are. And so this distinction between feeling tired or run down or overloaded and actually meeting the criteria for chronic fatigue, for example, is important. Because if the body is not recovering over time by itself, We want to understand why. If we can decode your fatigue, we can map your path to healing. But we have to have that clarity first. Now, it may still take some time. In fact, it will still take some time. But in that time, we're giving the mind, our emotions, our body, what it needs to support that recovery process. If you are suffering from ongoing fatigue symptoms that are not improving, it's really important you get that clarity. Here at the Optimum Health Clinic, we've been specializing in fatigue-related conditions for over 20 years. We have a map, we have a framework, which really helps get to the heart of what's going on. It's different for different people, but there are absolutely underlying principles that help us find that clarity. If you'd like to find out how that map can apply to you, please do request a free information pack at theoptimumhealthclinic.com, where you can also book a free discovery call with one of our clinical team to see in more detail how that map can apply to you. I hope that's been helpful. Thank you for watching.